Yuan tiptoed open the door to the hospital room, and he was met with a cold, piercing gaze from Zhao Jing. He hurriedly tucked his phone into his pocket and glanced at the hospital bed. "Where's Ruirui?" he asked. Zhao Jing replied, "A classmate took her outside for some fresh air." "Did you just call that vixen again? Yuan, are you even human? Your daughter is about to be disabled, and you're still fooling around." Yuan avoided Zhao Jing's confrontational words, focused on tidying the bed, and cleaned the bedside table. He maintained a stance of not acknowledging or arguing. After a while, a tissue box was thrown at him, hitting him on the head. He braced himself for more harsh words, contemplating whether he should close the door, but then Ruirui returned. Yuan quickly stepped to the doorway to greet Ruirui, and after saying goodbye to her classmate, he wheeled Ruirui's wheelchair over to the bedside. He helped her get back into bed, offered her water, and asked, "Ruirui, do you want some fruit? I've already cut it into small pieces and put it in a container." Ruirui said, "I'd like some." Yuan eagerly went to the small refrigerator, took out the container, and handed it to her. The cantaloupe was diced and cut into chunks, the grapes were peeled and seedless, and the orange segments were neatly arranged. Anyone who saw this box of fruit would praise her father for being so considerate. With a smile, Yuan asked, "Is it delicious, Ruirui?" Ruirui nodded and said, "Yes, they're all my favorites." Yuan then asked, "What would you like for lunch?" "I'll go buy it for you." Ruirui remained silent for a while, then suddenly said, "Dad, I just want something light. And then, could you also get some spicy hot pot? Both you and Mom love it. Let's have a family meal together." Yuan agreed and picked up his phone, heading out to buy lunch. On his way to get lunch, he passed by a kindergarten. The little ones in the small class were out on the playground, swaying like penguins. He had a soft spot for children and stood outside the fence, watching for a while. As he watched, he couldn't help but think of how cute Ruirui was when she was a child, and his eyes welled up with tears. It was his fault, and he had hurt his precious daughter. When the doctor told him that Ruirui might have a residual disability due to his actions, he was tormented by guilt and had even contemplated suicide. It was all his fault. Why did his mistakes have to be visited upon his daughter? If he could turn back time, he would never have gone on that date with Belan at the Western restaurant that day. Ruirui wouldn't have seen their intimate behavior when she passed by. Or better yet, he wouldn't have let his relationship with Belan go beyond a professional one. That way, all these troubles would have been nipped in the bud. But there were no ifs in this world. He had an affair within his marriage, and his daughter accidentally discovered it. The daughter he had always cherished was traumatized, ran through the streets, refusing to listen to his explanations, and ended up being hit by a speeding van. All of this had indeed happened. He wished so much that the van had hit him instead. He was willing to endure any pain, disability, or even death, as long as fate spared his daughter. However, in the end, fate spared no one. If Ruirui's misfortune was the first dagger driven into his heart, then her forgiveness was the second. He thought Ruirui would hate him for this, and he was prepared to be treated like a stranger by her. However, after the surgery, Ruirui only cried when she looked at him, without a word of blame, nor did she say anything negative about him to her mother. The poor child thought his affair was a secret, but in reality, it was a secret meant only for her. After a few days of sorrow, she not only didn't question him but also deliberately created opportunities for him to get closer to Zhao Jing. She let him buy things that the whole family loved and asked him and Zhao Jing to accompany her. He knew that Rui was trying to salvage their family, giving him a chance. He truly felt guilty towards his daughter. After silently shedding some tears outside the kindergarten wall, he regained his composure and followed the navigation to find the hot pot restaurant. The restaurant was bustling, and he placed an order before waiting outside. The sunlight was bright that day, but his heart was heavy. Zhao Jing's aggressive attitude, Rui's unfortunate experience, and the tears he had heard from Balan on the phone had left him in a state of emotional turmoil. He hesitated but eventually sent his location to Balan. 10 minutes later, Balan arrived in a taxi, her eyes red and her face pale. She walked briskly up to He Yuan and with a trembling voice, asked, "Why aren't you at the hospital?" He Yuan forced a bitter smile and said, "I went out to get lunch." Balan turned to look at the passing traffic, wiping away her tears. "Is there really no way to cure your daughter's leg?" He Yuan sighed. "It's difficult." "Sigh, what are we going to do about our child? She's only in the second year of high school, so concerned about her appearance. How is she going to accept this? She'll be limited in so many ways in her future, from going to college to finding a job and a partner. I've ruined her life." He Yuan became increasingly agitated, pounding his own head, and Balan rushed to embrace him, preventing him from harming himself. After a moment of struggle, Balan suddenly said, "He Yuan, let's end this." He Yuan looked at Balan in bewilderment, his voice choked with emotion. "What do you mean?" Balan took a deep breath, as if she had just lifted a heavy burden. "He Yuan, from the beginning, it was wrong for us to be together. Not to mention you haven't divorced from Zhao Jing. You can't deny that your daughter's situation is ultimately related to us. In the future, with her disability, it will be a lifelong burden for us both. Furthermore, you dote on your daughter and cater to her every request, and I've seen it. Even if we continue together, you'll have to revolve around her, prioritize her in everything. How can we have a life like that? So, He Yuan, let's just end it. Your daughter doesn't know, and let's keep it that way. You go back and live a good life." He Yuan's heart was torn apart, and he held on to Balan's hand tightly. He genuinely liked Balan, her appearance, her personality. He liked everything about her. They were so compatible in every way, and they always had plenty to talk about. Zhao Jing had known about their affair for a long time, and they had long lost their emotional connection. Zhao Jing was only angry about these affairs happening before their divorce, fearing that He Yuan's actions would harm Rui. Later, they made an agreement. He Yuan would keep it hidden until Rui finished high school, and then they would get a divorce. Who could have expected such a turn of events? He Qinyu genuinely cared for Bai Ling, but every word she said made perfect sense. What could he do? He couldn't help feeling guilty about his daughter, and he couldn't help but keep his daughter as the top priority. This would undoubtedly make Bai Ling feel wronged. But Bai Ling, she shouldn't have to bear this burden. He Qinyu's heart was torn apart. In the next moment, he heard Bai Ling, who was standing across from him, say, "He Qinyu, I want to leave here and go back to my hometown." He Qinyu nodded. He could understand Bai Ling's decision. If it were him, he would probably want to leave this place of heartbreak as well. Bai Ling continued, "I don't have a high education and I'm not young anymore. It will be very difficult to make a living in my hometown. So, I plan to open a small breakfast restaurant. He Chinyu said, "That's a good idea. You're a great cook, it will definitely work." After a pause, Bai Ling said, "Can you give me some money? I don't have enough capital." He Chinyu was taken aback. All the sadness disappeared in an instant. He looked at Bai Ling in astonishment and felt a strange sensation in his heart. "Money?" Bai Ling looked at him with honesty and said, "He Chinyu, I'm not as well off as you and Zhao Jing. You both have an education and regular jobs, while I wake up every day thinking about how to support myself. I didn't want anything else from our relationship, just a sense of security to live a good life together. But now, with no prospects left, I'll be alone, leaving this place with no money. How can I survive without any funds?" He Chinyu's mind was filled with thoughts of Bai Ling asking for money. He barely absorbed her explanation of her difficulties. He quickly calculated his savings and tentatively asked, "How much do you need? Would 50,000 be enough?" Bai Ling looked at him and smiled. "He Chinyu, if I only needed 50,000, would I ask you for it?" He Chinyu stammered, Then, how much do you want?" Bai Ling absent-mindedly kicked a small pebble as she thought for a while and said, "At least 300,000. He Chinyu became somewhat agitated. 300,000? What kind of breakfast restaurant requires 300,000? He Chinyu's words suddenly came to a halt. He realized that Bai Ling wasn't borrowing money from him, and she wasn't in real financial difficulty. She even used the breakfast restaurant as an excuse. She was simply asking for a breakup fee. Reality can be like a potent medicine, quickly relieving He Chinyu of his sorrow and listlessness. The guilt and reluctance he felt towards Bai Ling a moment ago also weakened rapidly. He never expected Bai Ling to ask for a breakup fee. After all, she had just said she didn't want anything. He was even more surprised when she demanded 30,000. She was really bold. 30,000, why would he bother staying with Bai Ling, a divorced rural woman? He could find a younger and more attractive partner. Bai Ling continued, "He Chinyu, don't blame me. If this matter gets out, it won't end well for anyone, and your daughter will be hurt again. Think about why she had that accident." He Chinyu's heart sank. Everything had fallen apart, and the woman he once loved was now making threats. It was truly unpredictable. He Chinyu thought for a long time, sighed, and decided to admit it, but 30,000 was too much. "You know, I'm just a salaried worker, and I don't have that much money. While Zhao Jing has money, she already sees me as a stranger and wouldn't lend me anything. Even if we divorce, I won't get much money because she and her brother have been working on their business, and they've always been wary of me. She only has a salary in her name. Can you lower the amount a bit?" Bai Ling was getting irritated with He Chinyu's haggling. She lowered her voice and said, "He Chinyu, when we were together, you hardly spent any money on me. Now, when we're breaking up, you won't give me a dime. Do you think you're treating me fairly? Since that's the case, why did you sleep with me back then? I'll tell you, if you make my life miserable, I won't make it easy for you either." With that, He Chinyu's last shred of guilt toward Bai Ling disappeared completely. Now, their relationship was purely about money. He really didn't have 30,000, and he couldn't afford to upset Bai Ling. If she got angry and went to his workplace or even his home to cause a scene, or worse, created a scene at the hospital, he'd be in big trouble. He Chinyu closed his eyes in resignation and exhaled deeply. Let me think of a way. Even if it's alone, it will take some time. Bai Ling said, you better not go back on your word. I'll be waiting for you. Also, I want cash, and don't think about leaving any evidence to trap me. After Bai Ling had gone for a long time, He Qinyu slowly stood up, feeling a bit wobbly. As middle age had arrived, one misstep could lead to a series of unfortunate events. If only he had known back then, why did he make those choices? In fact, Zhao Jing wasn't all that bad. She just had a strong personality and was entirely focused on her career, not particularly skilled at managing the family. But in a marriage, both partners should complement each other, and He Qinyu could have been content with taking care of the household, right? After all, she hadn't complained when they were together, despite his lack of financial success. Without Zhao Jing, there wouldn't be the comfortable life they had now, nor their lovely daughter. Thinking of Rui, He Qinyu's heart ached. She treasured their family so much, enduring pain and trying to keep the family together. In comparison, he felt like he wasn't a good person at all. He Qinyu contemplated and thought, maybe he should do just that, go back to Zhao Jing, admit his mistakes, and focus on their life together. Zhao Jing could continue managing her business while he took care of their daughter and the household. At middle age, one couldn't afford any more troubles, and he didn't want to imagine being left with nothing. He Qinyu returned to the hospital with his lunch, and the family enjoyed a rare moment sitting together. Rui was happy, sharing stories with her parents about her school and friends. He Qinyu responded with enthusiasm, and Zhao Jing smiled as she listened. To outsiders, they seemed like a happy family of three. After the meal, He Qinyu cleaned up the trash and took a few steps outside, but then he heard Zhao Jing's voice behind him, He Qinyu, let's talk. He Qinyu felt anxious. Huh? Is something wrong with Rui? Zhao Jing caught up with him. No, it's not about Rui. I want to talk about us. Let's get a divorce as soon as possible. He Qinyu nearly dropped the trash bag in shock. Huh? This. Zhao Jing smiled with relief. After our daughter's accident, I heard your explanation. At first, I hated you and wanted to kill you. But then I started to reflect. After we got married, I hardly managed the family. You were the one taking care of everything. Our daughter was raised by you, and you endured hardships for her. I blamed you for your affair, but when I calmed down and thought about it, I could understand your struggles. Back then, I didn't want to divorce for the sake of Rui. But there were also my selfish reasons. I wanted to keep you two around, not letting you have an easy life. I admit I haven't loved you for a long time, but people, we always want everything. We want a successful career, and we want a worry-free life at home. At that time, Rui was still young, and I couldn't trust anyone else to take care of her. Now it's clear that I was wrong. No one should dwell in the pain caused by someone else, and no one should pay for someone else's mistakes. He Qinyu was quite flustered. He had thought that as long as he didn't want a divorce, Zhao Jing wouldn't bring it up. How did she? He Qinyu said, No, Zhao Jing, you're great. These days, I've realized that I can't do everything. It's impossible to balance work and family. You contribute more to our family. Without you working so hard outside, we wouldn't be able to afford a good house, and we couldn't have afforded a private room for Rui when she was sick. I know you might think I'm useless, but look at Rui. She really wishes for our family to stay together. After He Qinyu had spoken, he lowered his head and said softly, Don't blame yourself for everything, it's all my fault. I've broken up with Bailing Zhaojing, let's continue our life together. I promise I won't mess up again. Zhao Jing shook her head slowly, firmly, and then calmly asked, when are you available? Let's file for a divorce. The small house and the car will be yours, and your savings too. You won't get anything else, and you won't be able to. Rui Rui is almost an adult, she can choose to go with whomever she wants. But she should come with me. I have the means to provide her with a better education and living environment. He Qinyu's heart gradually turned cold. This was the Zhao Jing he was familiar with, never looking back, only moving forward, no matter what. Seeking reconciliation was something he no longer had the courage to utter. Finally, he made one request, Rui Rui has to stay with me. Her feelings for you have faded, and you don't have the time to take care of her. Zhao Jing coldly replied, you don't deserve her, and then turned and walked away. He Qinyu hunched over like an old man in the corridor, taking slow, labored steps. Divorce was acceptable, after all, they had agreed on it long ago, hadn't they? But he couldn't bear to lose his daughter. Back when Zhao Jing went on a business trip immediately after giving birth, Rui Rui had hardly consumed any breast milk. He had raised this child, changing her diapers, and attending to her every need. He loved her, and she loved him. They couldn't be without each other. He knew Zhao Jing was planning to move to a different city to expand her business. She might even arrange for Rui Rui to study abroad. That would make it very difficult for him to see his daughter again. No! Absolutely not! He could get a divorce, ask for nothing, but he could not lose his daughter. He Qianyu was in complete panic. There was only one thing he needed to do now, and that was to fight for his daughter. He knew that even in a legal battle, the judge would consider the child's wishes. Rui Rui was a 17-year-old young lady, she wasn't just a pawn in Zhao Jing's game. With this determination in mind, he quickly returned to the hospital room. Sitting by the bedside, he didn't mind Rui Rui's feelings at the moment and, with a straight face, said, Rui Rui, your mother wants to divorce me. Rui Rui exclaimed, deeply disappointed, Mom found out about it. He Qinyu asked with pleading eyes, Rui Rui, it's all Dad's fault. After we get divorced, your mom will live in another city, and you have a choice to stay with me here or go with her. Your mom has money, and she can provide you with a better living environment. Rui Rui teared up, thought for a while, and said, Dad, what about you and that woman? He Qianyu reassured her, we've broken up, Rui Rui. From now on, I won't be with anyone else, I'll just take care of you. Wiping her eyes, Rui Rui said, Dad, then I'll stay with you. It's always been you taking care of me, and I love you more in my heart. Mom is great, but she's too busy, and she loves her career more. He Qianyu felt relieved. His daughter was precious, and he would fulfill his promise, taking good care of her and trying to make amends for his mistakes. The next day, He Qianyu found an opportunity to talk to Zhao Jing about Rui Rui's decision. Zhao Jing didn't say much, only nodding to indicate her understanding. They soon applied for divorce, and a month later, it was finalized. Rui Rui had already been discharged from the hospital, and He Qianyu dedicated himself to taking care of his daughter like a doting mother. 2 months later, the driver who caused the accident had gathered the compensation of 20,000. He Qianyu's van wasn't insured, and it was in bad shape. Their family was truly poor, and this accident was like peeling off a layer of their skin. He couldn't forgive the driver, but he also couldn't blame him, as Rui had also run a red light that day. This money was deposited into He Qianyu's account. Originally, it should have been used for Rui's rehabilitation, but He Qianyu still had a pressing issue in his life. He had no choice but to use his daughter's compensation money as a temporary measure to deal with his immediate problems. In reality, he didn't need the money urgently, as his income and savings were enough to support both of them, and Zhao Jing would undoubtedly provide for their daughter. He convinced himself that he could pay it back in the future and reached out to Bai Ling. "Let's meet, I'll give you the money, but I can only manage to gather 20,000. If you don't want it, then you can cause trouble, and I'll accept it." Bai Ling didn't say anything and just sent an address. They met briefly, settled the financial matters, and parted ways. He Qianyu heaved a sigh of relief. He had weathered the storm and finally reached a safe harbor. However, what he never expected was that 3 days later, Rui found out about this. During dinner that evening, with red eyes, she asked, "Dad, did you give my compensation money to that woman?" He Qianyu was shocked and let slip of his tongue, "How did you find out?" He quickly realized his mistake but couldn't take it back and tried to cover it up. "I just borrowed it temporarily. I will pay it back to you, Rui." Rui shook her head in disappointment, then turned and went back to her room. He Qianyu, frustrated, pulled his hair and couldn't fathom who could have told Rui about this. After pondering it, he could only think of Zhao Jing. He called Zhao Jing, but before he could even explain himself, Zhao Jing said in a calm voice, "Don't bother asking, I told our daughter." He Qianyu, "I will never leave our daughter with you, so I had to make her see your true colors." He Qianyu asked, "How did you know I gave money to Bai Ling? Did you have someone follow me?" Zhao Jing replied, "That's not important. What's crucial is that you did it. Rui has agreed to go with me. She's almost an adult, and she needs better opportunities and resources right now, not just companionship and care. If you truly love her, you should understand this." He Qianyu hung up the phone in despair, looking at the dishes on the table, all of them Rui's favorites. Once Rui left, would he ever enjoy a delicious meal again? He buried his face in his hands and cried, hunched over like a shrimp. The warm yellow light gently bathed him, wrapping him in a shroud of loneliness. In the desolation of his remaining life, he had lost his way completely.